Alright, I'm not sure whether or not I'm going to upload this, but if you're hearing my voice right now, then that means that I did decide to upload it. Now, this is going to be kind of off the cuff, off scripted. I don't know what I'm going to say, probably going to ramble a lot, but this is basically just my reaction to Sephiroth being the new Smash character. So, before I talk about that though, let me talk about a couple other characters first. So when Byleth first came out, like when she was first announced, you remember what happened there. A whole bunch of people were really mad about that. There were a whole bunch of people saying, another Fire Emblem rep, another anime swords person, whatever. For me though, I was really excited. Like, I was maining Robin at the time, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be so fun. I'm going to use Robin and Byleth all the time. And then Byleth ended up becoming my main. And it was something that I'd never expected, but at the same time, I was so excited. I just couldn't see myself using anyone but Byleth. And personally, I just couldn't comprehend anyone not being excited about Byleth, to be honest. Like, Byleth is a great character in my opinion. I just can't say enough about the character. And something similar actually happened with Minmin too. Like, when Minmin was announced, I know a lot of people were like, what, ARMS, this is dumb. And you know, I personally never liked ARMS, but the way that they did it, the way that it was promoted, like, obviously there was a big thing happening in the world, and so they had to extend their deadlines, but they didn't just leave us hanging for 4 months. They were like, alright, it can be one of these 15 characters. And even though I personally wanted Dr. Coyle, I knew that was a long shot, so no problem there. But seeing Minmin got me so excited. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm so ready to play Minmin. Like, I was way more hyped than anyone I've ever met for Minmin to come out. Like, I was so super excited. And as it turns out, Minmin ended up becoming my secondary. So I ended up winning 2 times where a lot of people weren't as excited as I was. Now, about Steve. Steve, it was like, you know, I was so sure, and I mean like, I would have bet real life money that Steve would have been a Mii costume. As it so turned out though, he didn't end up becoming a Mii costume, he ended up becoming a real character, and I was like, okay. I was never really a big fan of Minecraft, to be honest. Like, I had a friend that I've tried playing it with. We tried to make a Minecraft high school. It was a big mess, but I mean, it was never really personally my cup of tea. But at the same time, I knew how many people thought that this was like the biggest announcement in the entire world, and I'm like, you know what, I can be happy for those guys. Same thing when Hero came out. Like, I knew that a whole bunch of people were excited for Hero. And I was like, you know, I never played the Dragon Quest games, but I can get behind that. And now for Sephiroth. When Sephiroth was announced, like when I first heard One Wing Angel play in the background and I knew it was Sephiroth, I found myself saying, please be excited. Please be more excited. But I wasn't. And now I suddenly realized what all these people who weren't excited about Byleth felt like. Don't get me wrong, I am happy to have Sephiroth on the roster. I think that Sephiroth is one of the most iconic villains of all time, and definitely deserves a spot on the roster. What I'm unhappy about, though, is what that means for the future of Smash DLC, at least for Smash Ultimate. You know, it was actually kind of funny, because let me just throw out a couple things real quick. So, I made a top 10 chart that I put on Twitter, which basically had every character that I would want, like my top 10, no restrictions, like anybody can join, that kind of thing. And my number 1 and number 2, respectively, were Tidus and Sora, with number 3 being Baseball Guy. Still holding out for Baseball Guy. But yeah, I mean, earlier that morning before the Game Awards, I was talking to somebody and I was saying, I think it's going to be Tidus. I think it's going to be Tidus from Final Fantasy X. And the guy said, no, I don't think it's going to be Tidus. Like, if they were going to go the Final Fantasy route, they would probably put in Sephiroth. And I'm like, you kidding, man? It's going to be Tidus for sure. And, like, even when I was doing a little stream before the Game Awards, I was like, it's going to be Tidus, guys. It's going to be Tidus from Final Fantasy X. And the fact that Sephiroth was put in kind of ruined the character that I wanted most. And, you know, I'm happy. Again, I want to stress that I am happy that Sephiroth is added to the game. But I'm still sad because I know that there were characters that I wanted ahead of him that are now more or less deconfirmed. Tidus is one of them. Sora it's a weird topic because with Sora technically isn't owned by Square Enix. Sora is technically owned by Disney, and, you know, Disney consults Square Enix and Tetsuya Nomura about whether or not they can do anything with Sora if they want to put him in other games or anything like that. So there is still technically a chance for Sora, but at the same time, Sora, Sephiroth, and Cloud were all in the same game, so the chances of Sora being added to Smash fall dramatically. Not to the point where it's basically deconfirmed like Tidus was, but the chances of that happening fall tremendously. Now, granted, we knew ahead of time Sora was a long shot. We knew ahead of time that Sora probably was not going to happen, but we still had hope for that. You know, there was still something in the back of our minds that were like, you know, we still kind of think that Sora is a possibility, but after Sephiroth was announced, that you know, basically tossed that out the window. Now, Sephiroth would realistically be most people's next wanted Square Enix character after that, unless, you know, you count the people who want Geno. But there were at least 2 other Square Enix characters that I wanted in front of Sephiroth, which now are also possibly deconfirmed. So there's 2B from Nier Automata, which I've recently gotten a lot of hype for. Like, I've really been really excited at the possibility that, hey, this character could legitimately be in Smash Ultimate. Wouldn't that be so fun? And, you know, even though there's still that possibility, 2B is basically Sephiroth. Just girl Sephiroth. You can't throw in a shirtless 2B, but you can throw in a shirtless Sephiroth. So, you know, no big deal there. And the other character that I wanted from Square Enix ahead of Sephiroth was Yuna. But, you know, Yuna never stood a chance. There was no way that they were ever going to add Yuna. And so, there were a whole bunch of characters that I wanted, which I now have to accept that are just not going to be in Smash Ultimate. But what cheeses me off even more is the fact that I'm going to get outranged by another Swordy. That was the best part of using Byleth, is just being able to outrange everybody. Like, Lucina players did not stand a chance against me. But now there's another Swordy who outranges me. Ugh. But yeah, I just want to know what you guys feel about Sephiroth. Like, this has kind of been all over the place. I've been rambling a lot. I don't know really what I'm saying half the time. Just getting out what's on my mind. But yeah, how do you guys feel about Sephiroth? I'm going to let my own personal disappointment die down a little bit, take a deep breath. You know, it's still within the past 24 hours, at least of recording this, that he's been announced. And then, on the 17th of this month, when Sakurai announces Sephiroth and does his little thing that he does, which is always so fun, I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to be happy when Sephiroth is added to the roster. I am excited for it, and I hope you guys are too. So, yeah, let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time.